Hello. Ooh. Hello, I am Dr. Noni Davis, and I am here from St. C Academy. Um, Today, let me give thanks for my ancestor, my father, my immediate ancestor, who transitioned and who's the reason why we have St. C Academy, as well as my mother, um, who helped us to get this, who worked, all three of us worked together to get this school started. And so today I wanted to just share, I keep going down these rabbit holes with this information that I'm learning about African American contributions, and mostly tying our ancestral knowledge that we brought from the continent to the United States. And but this week my students are reading this book. I think I may have showed this before, Never Caught, and it's the story of Ona Judge. And this is the adult version of the book. But I read this one first, the adult version, and then I found out that they had the children's version. And so Ona Judge was an enslaved woman who, under George Washington and Martha Washington, she was enslaved by their families. And mind you, them this is the first presidential family in the United States, right? So he was our first president, and he was the reason. Well, he was given the status of being the person who won the Revolutionary War. Okay, and which led to the creation of what we now call the United States of America. Um, Ona decided that when she was 23 years old, living in Philadelphia with George Washington and his family, because you have to remember that Mount Vernon was his home, but there was no White House at this time. They were still in the middle of constructing this space. So Philadelphia was still the primary um, uh, governing space. That they had the mansion there where he lived. And Philadelphia was crazy. So Philadelphia had this rule that if you were in Philadelphia for 6 months, that as an African, that enslaved African, that you could be freed if you were there for more than 6 months. So this joker um, would move to the residence in Philadelphia for like 5 months, and then pack everybody up and go back home, and then come back to Philadelphia. And of course, the clock restarted. So he was purposely letting them stay there for 5 months, taking them back to Mount Vernon, and then coming back. Well, this young lady decided that, you know what? They found out. People, I mean, of course, they had this little. Was one of those people who had a 30-minute window because she worked for Martha Washington. She was her seamstress and all that. So they knew that she had a very small window of opportunity to escape. And she figured out how to escape. There was a lot of abolitionism going on in Philadelphia. When I spoke with you all earlier, I mean, when I discussed earlier in the previous podcast, that Richard Allen, you had Absalom Jones, you had the first Black insurance company up there, you had the Free African Society, you had a lot of stuff going on up there so she had plenty of allies. She just had to figure them out. But in order to communicate to them, we don't know how she did it. But at any rate, she found a way to get free. And as you can see, the title of the book is Never Caught. And this book is historical. It's fiction in the sense is that they don't have her verbal. They could not find research about her of what she was thinking and why did she do such and such a thing. They don't know because we didn't written down. But they are using the historical evidence and the legal challenges and the fugitive slave law. So my students are learning a lot about American history through this book. And so anybody who wants to get it for a kid, it's amazing. But Ona Judge managed to escape, and she was never caught. She escaped when she was 20 something years old, and they tracked her down. There's a whole lot of nonsense about that. But what I wanted to focus on is African textiles. So if you look behind me, you see that this is my closet right here. I wanted to present this knowledge of sewing, because a lot of times what we hear is about, what's her name? Uh, uh, Mary Todd Lincoln, her Elizabeth McKelly. I can't remember her name, but I mean, talk about her more later, maybe in another podcast. But she is considered the first African American uh, woman who sewed for the um, for the first lady. I don't know why they don't talk about Ona Judge, because Ona Judge's mother was a seamstress for um uh Martha Washington and Martha Washington's family. And also her Ona Judge's dad, Andrew Judge, who was a white indentured servant who was a tailor. He is the one who made George Washington's jacket and his suit for the when he became the commander in chief. And so both sides of her family had this tailoring legacy, and she was the one that was chosen to go to Philadelphia. She and this other black woman were chosen to be the primary servants to Martha Washington, and she was a seamstress. So she was sewing those dresses for her. But I wanted to, and so I'm going to talk about both of them. I mean, and other African Americans who were part of the fashion back in the day. Oh yeah, it's Elizabeth Keckley. And then there's another lady, Ann Lowe, and these people were responsible for sewing these dresses. But oh, and another note, this was really funny to me. On Andrew Judge, according to the book, one of the things that George Washington said about white indentured servants was that they were lazy and unreliable. And so this is one of the reasons he did not hire white indentured servants. You know, he really didn't want to pay him. Probably is why he made that up. But anyway, they said this guy, he kept Andrew Judge because he was an exceptional tailor, and apparently he was hardworking, and apparently he was reliable. Anyway, that's out of George Washington's mouth, not mine. Anyway, so I believe that, like in other situations, we are consistently seeing this through line about what our historical um legacy is in this. And so uh, you know lo- it's really sad. A lot of us are taught that Africans didn't have any clothes. Europeans have convinced us that they were just wearing loincloths and they were naked and all of that. And yeah, some of that might be true. um but Africa is a huge continent. So if you lived along the equator and in these rainforest situations where you didn't have, it wasn't cold. I mean, so you did not need a lot of clothes. And this idea of them being naked did not, or not poorly dressed or whatever, came about with European contact and also Islamic contact. So in these Abrahamic religions, y'all, I don't like the way y'all got your clothes on. But anyway, so we do know but even on the continent prior to these notions of what is appropriate clothing to wear, um, African people were, it depended on where you were. If you lived in Morocco and if you lived up in those areas, the weather was different. If you lived in Sahara Desert, what you were going to wear was not going to be the same as people who lived in the rainforest. People who lived in the mountains were going to be doing something differently. And then people who lived along the coastal regions, different attire. So and so the origins of most of the clothing according so I always got to get my resources. So the New School Parsons Business Journal of Fashion Studies, this article was written in 2019, From Kente to Colonialism, um, African Fashion Over Time. It was written by Madeline Jontz, and I think it was posted at Serena's Fashion. That's a whole nother site I visited. And so originally Africans worked with cotton. And so this is cotton. This is a deer. This is also mud cloth. And then you have silks. They work with wool and leather. And so those, and then raffia. So, and that is the old, some the older fabrics that we were using. And we did a showcase. I'm trying to think, where's my showcase? Did I leave my showcase? Where did I put my showcase? Uh-oh, I don't see my showcase down here. I thought I brought it down, but maybe I didn't. Is it behind me? Oh, it's behind me. So this is a showcase. And so you can see it's the strips is woven together in the strips, and it has it looks like it's got this is cotton, but it's woven in with metallic fabrics too. And so that's the showcase. But let's see. So most of because of the weather, most of the fabrics were like boobas. And so this is a booba. You see, you've got the open arm, the open sleeve, and it's very airy. The fabric is light cotton. And then, of course, you've got the beadwork, which is a tradition. They said 75,000 years they found beadwork in South Africa, and a cave area. What was it called? Bolesmith Cave, something like that. I'll correct it later. But anyway, outside of Cape Town, and they found evidence of African beadwork that dated back to 75,000 years ago. And so, anyway, so that's, we have a legacy of a legacy of design, of fashion, of cultivating textiles, weaving, and stuff like that. So, uh, the introduction of and imposition of Western perspective dramatically impacted the fashion styles of African people. And so, like I said, when they came in contact with these Abrahamic religions and these Christian religions or whatever, the style of dress changed. The fashion styles of boo-boos and dashikis were part of that evolution of African fashion from woven fabrics, and this would be considered woven. And you see the strips in this one. This one would be considered woven. And then I have this kente cloth, which is woven squares, rectangles. I'm sorry, rectangles, woven. And then I also have this fabric from Sierra Leone. This is a Sierra Leonean blanket, and it too is made from woven strips, and then sewed together. But so and then so they had to change from being naked in front of these people to coverage of the body. The evolution of African fashion expanded as Africans were forcibly brought to the Americas via the Moffat Middle Passage. And so you had weavers who were brought here on these slave ships, just like our blacksmiths were brought over here, just like our people who knew architecture, medicinal practices, this thirst for knowledge and our spiritual systems, everything was brought over here. And so weaving was another one. And so and what I didn't know, and I guess I don't know why I didn't think about it, but they said that your average, depending on the size of the plantation, a seamstress could have to sew up to 200 uh, 200 clothing items for people. They were constantly sewing, they were constantly repairing, they had to create their own looms, all of this. I mean, it was different kind of industry. So the plantation wasn't just picking cotton, but it was also taking that cotton and turning it into fabric for the slave owners. They had to make their clothes, and of course their clothes were made out of a higher quality fabric. But then Africans were also having to make clothes for each other on the plantation. And so just imagine, it was a lot. But what I found is that weaving African traditions into the future, during Lagos Fashion Week, I found this video. um, and they had this cloth called Equete cloth. They were featuring 5 different artists, and I thought it was interesting. I'm trying to think, do I have those pictures over here? Um, okay, so this first picture is of this lady here, and she's weaving, and that's her loom. And so she's using this to pay for her kids' school fees. And the fabric that she this was an example of some of the fabric that she was weaving. Now, the thing about these fabrics, this was Akutu Chigozi, and she's Igbo. And she said, and so what I found out is that the this sort of weaving among the Igbo people can be traced back to 900 BCE. And so, okay, I was like, wow. And each design is considered sacred. So you can't copy anybody else's design. And the design that they create has to die with them. You can't do a copycats. So I thought that was interesting. So it shows that they were, um, you know, they protected. It wasn't this consistent pattern. And this is an example of a kente cloth pattern here. But you might see that same pattern, but it's associated with one person. And so then, for the kente cloth is, that was interesting too. Oh, this is some contemporary designs. I know you all see people now, they're wearing their African traditional stuff and more of this contemporary styles. But so this is a kente weaver, and their process, they said, is 1000 BCE. And kente, but the kente, so they were making the kente cloth, but they did not, they were making this cotton cloth rather, but the idea of kente did not come about until the 1600s, and is called Nwantoma in the Akan, and is used in the silk. And I think that this one is like a silk. You can't see it, but it doesn't feel like cotton. It's got this, I think there's a little silk mixed in with it, because the texture of it is not the same as cotton. This one right here, you can look at the two. This one is cotton, and you can tell the difference between the cotton and the smoothness of that kente cloth right there. And then they talked about embroidery. So I have a piece here, and it shows the embroidered pattern on the front. And this is adire. Adire is um, indigo, the indigo fabric, and so and the indigo designs. But the embroidery too, they said this one probably came more from the North Africa and the influence of, I think it was Asian influence too. And but let's see, what did they say here? Oh, I forgot to show you. This is a picture of the guy from Kent. What's his name? Oh, I didn't write his name down here. Oh, I don't believe I didn't read his name, the Kente guy. But anyway, so this is him weaving. And like I said, any weavers, when they're weaving, they cannot have a similar pattern as anybody else. Okay, so this is another example of the embroidery. and that's acacia. And they said that a lot of the weavers use this machine. The machine is called a what? A Konsu chain stitch. And so, okay. So this machine is what they use to do the embroidery. And they have different types of stitches that they use. I didn't realize they had what do they say? They have like a bean stitch, a coral stitch. Uh, well, anyway, different types of stitches are used to uh, for embroidery on these different pieces, and each of those stitches have different meanings too. And so it's like, it's a lot of what do you say, understanding of how um seriously they took this skill set. And that's what came across the ocean with them. Um, I think I said that Blombos Cave is where they found the beadwork 75,000 years ago. And they said they used shell, coral, eggshells, glass, clay, and bone. And then as far back as 12,000 years ago in Kenya and Libya and Sudan, among the Turkan people, but they also, at first they were trading cowrie shells, but then they started trading glass beads. And they said some places like 450 BC is when they started getting the beads. And then around the 900s is when you started seeing glass beads in Egypt and South Africa through trade with Asia and Western Europe. And so the oldest beaters, of course, they see like now would be the people from Kenya. I don't know, did I bring Kenya? I don't know if I brought a picture of the Kenyans. I don't think I did. But the Kenyan beadwork, I wasn't focusing on that as much, but I have the picture here of the buba, and that one is from Senegal. So they also had Kuba cloth. I have a lot of stuff in the house. This is Kuba cloth, and this Kuba cloth is from Congo. Uh, and this one is made from raffia, so you can see raffia. But this was also used for I use it as for decor, but it's also used for clothing. And for raffia, they said it's made from leaves that are dyed and softened and embroidery, and then you have mud cloth. Let's see, did I bring I didn't bring, well, this is a mud cloth right here. But it's just done in the blue indigo. And let's see. So these are some of the legacies of Africans in the production of textiles and how it has evolved through cultural exchange, trade between cultures and continents, from simple wrappers and skirts and loincloths in tropical climates to loose-fitting boo-boos and headscarves in desert areas. Now, when Africans were forced across the Atlantic Ocean, they brought these styles with them. And Ona Judge and her parents were forced to use these skills to design clothing for the elite and the enslaved. And I don't think I brought any pictures of, let's see, I was supposed to get pictures of the dresses that they saw that Mary Washington, Martha Washington, I'm sorry, Washington dresses. And it's interesting, dresses. And they have pictures of her dresses in, I'm trying to think the real dresses, images. So this was one of them. And so you can see the patterns on the fabric. Oh Lord, I hate doing this right here because I always mess up. But these are her dresses that she was wearing. And so these were made by these African women. Let me see. Um, Martha Washington. Uh, they won't let me stick with her dresses. I just want to do her dresses. That's Marie Antoinette, but this is Martha Washington. It's not showing me a good picture of it, but you can see the detail work in the bodice. You have all this lace. You have this lace across the top, and then these sections of the dress and the train. And they said that they would have to not only make these dresses, but then they would also have to clean them and all kinds of stuff. And so, she was wearing stuff for all kinds of events. And trying to think, where's another address of the first lady? And you can see this one. And so just imagine these are all being designed by African women. Betty, um, Judge, Mull Judge, and Owner Judge. And her pocketbook too, I guess. I don't know. But let's see, visit the site. Let's see, it's got all of these are for her. No, I'm gonna go back. Let's see. Okay, so here is another one of her dresses. So you can see these people didn't have no sewing machines. All right, didn't have no sewing machines. So all of this work, and then they were probably having to look at dresses from Europe, so they're trying to keep up with those styles as well as this style. But this was all their innovation, coming up with whatever style she wanted to wear. This is what, and they had to make it, and she didn't make nothing. It's Washington. There she is. And so you see the detail of the lace. I mean, they made the gloves. They were having to deal with her shoes and all of this, and this very fine fabric. And they said that one of the things they had to do, that the children, because she started working. Owner just started working for her at the age of 10. And one of the things they had to learn was not to get pricked by the needles or by the weaving machine when the weaving machine was taking the cotton or the silk or whatever and making the fabric, because if they could not get any blood, no blood could be on any of the fabric, because that could get you hurt. So we have this history of working with these people. Oh, this is another one. This is another one of her dresses. And like I said, some of these were made by Owner Judge's mother, until Owner was the age of 23. And what's crazy is that they they that these dresses, this was not only for her. She had to make the daughters, the family's dresses too. And they said that they barely got any rest. I mean, they were on 24-hour duty and had, well, 23 and a half hours of duty, because they had to see to her needs in every single way, and of Martha Washington. And so she only had a 30-minute time frame to escape, which is what I'm going to talk about next week. Owner Judge, and then this lady, Elizabeth Keckley, and Lynn, what was her name? The other lady's name is Lynn. Oh, I can't, I've messed up. Lynn, and Lowe. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's all I've got today. I'll talk to you about shoes too next week. So I'll go. Ashe. I hope that everybody has a great week. Peace to you. Ashe. Ashe. Hey, Mama.
Yeah, great knowledge as always. We don't think about that knowledge in the fashion business and in fabrics and stuff like that. So you were dropping all kinds of great knowledge again, and particularly that historical knowledge. So that was always good to see that historical knowledge.
We
Yeah,
trying. I'm trying. I'm trying.
you're doing a great job. So yeah, we're going to wrap with the usual kid safety commercial and the one for your school, which is doing great work and all along those lines. But yeah, you're doing a great job and some great information that we appreciate.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Even if you didn't make it, even if you didn't make it to class yesterday.
You know what happened? No, I woke up. Oh my God, I did not sleep at all Sunday night. I think I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Well,
and I did not go back to sleep. And I thought I was going to be able to catch a little bit of a nap
right.
between the end of class, and I didn't. And so I said, so I had to do after school and I was like, I was a zombie by then.
I
I could not
understand.
move. So it's only I just didn't get any rest. I don't know why. I could
Yeah,
not sleep.
yeah. Sometimes it can be that way. Sometimes it's those restless nights. I've had those as well. So,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it just I was not gonna be able to dance. I was gonna be I was gonna hurt myself if I came.
well, no,
I
we
didn't
don't want to.
even drive. So and Ariel was not and then what else happened was I had a parent who it was almost 7 o'clock. It
Hmm,
was well after usually our after school closes at 5:30. The This mama had a situation. She didn't get her babies till 6:30. So I was already late
yeah,
and tired. So it was a lot of stuff going on yesterday.
yeah. That's all right. You'll be back next week.
It happens. Yes, I will.
All right.
Yes. All right.
All right.
Peace. Okay.
Peace. Peace.
Take care.
Yeah.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I walk into the sound of drums.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I know my mother.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can play the drum.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can work with my hands.
I'm a St. Cia student.